you ever wondered why some children grow up gentle, respectful, and loving toward their parents, while others become cold, distant, or even cruel? Have you ever asked yourself in a quiet moment whether the way you speak to your parents today is quietly teaching your children how they will speak to you tomorrow? Welcome back to the channel, my friend. I am really glad you are here again, willing to sit through another long, honest, heart-level conversation. Today we are going to talk about something that touches everyone, no matter where you were born or what kind of family you are come from. It is not about abstract philosophy. It is about your home, your parents, your children, and the invisible chain of karma that links 3 generations together. The simple idea is this: the way you treat your parents is one of the strongest teachings your children will ever receive. You can lecture them 1,000 times about respect, gratitude, and love, but what will shape their hearts most deeply is not what you say. It is what you do, your tone of voice, your facial expressions, your reactions when your parents are weak, old, annoying, or difficult. Those are the real textbooks your children are reading every day. In this episode, we will walk through stories of families, both tender and painful. We will talk about why the bond between parents and children carries such powerful karma, how your behavior toward your own parents becomes the script your children unconsciously memorize, and why healing your relationship with your parents is not only about them, but also about the future you. We will also look at situations where parents were really harmful and how to find a wise, compassionate balance without lying to yourself or pretending that everything was fine. Let us begin with a scene that might feel uncomfortably familiar. Imagine a living room on a weekend afternoon. The television is playing softly in the background. A young couple is sitting on the couch, scrolling on their phones. Their little daughter, maybe 5 or 6 years old, is drawing on the floor. The husband's phone rings. He glances at the screen and sees his mother's name. His face instantly changes. His shoulders tense. He rolls his eyes and mutters, "What does she want now?" He answers, not with "hello, Mom," but with an impatient yes. His tone is flat and sharp. On the other end, his mother's voice is a little shaky. She explains that the light in her kitchen has stopped working on tasks, whether he could come by sometime this week to help. He sighs loudly. "I am very busy. Can you not just ask someone else? You always call for these small things." She tries to explain that she is afraid of being cheated by strangers and that she feels safer when he comes. He interrupts. "I am not free. I will see if I can find time. I am hanging up now." He taps the screen and throws the phone onto the couch with a frustrated gesture. "She is always like this," he complains to his wife. "So troublesome. If I pick up, she wants something. If I do not, she keeps calling." His wife nods, half listening, half scrolling. The little daughter continues drawing. She does not say anything. She does not look up, but her ears heard everything. Her eyes saw the eye roll, the sigh, the cold tone. Without a single word of explanation, her heart has already learned a lesson. Years later, when that man is old and his hands are shaking as he tries to use his phone, when he calls his grown-up daughter for help and she replies with an impatient "I am busy, Dad," he might feel deeply hurt and think, "How can my child treat me this way?" If he could rewind the movie of his life, he would see that he was the one who gave her the first lesson. Children are not listening to your mouth as carefully as they are watching your back. They pay attention to how you treat the people who are powerless in front of you. They see how you treat waiters, cleaners, strangers asking for help, and especially your own parents. You might think your child is just playing with toys, just watching cartoons, just doing homework. But on another level, their deep mind is recording. When you mock your parents, when you lose patience, when you slam the door in their face, that recording keeps playing. One day, when the roles reverse and you become the one who is old, slow, and easily confused, that recording will become the default response in your child's behavior. There is a saying that if you want to know how your child will treat you in the future, take a close look at how you treat your parents now. It is a mirror that many people do not want to look into, because it is too honest. Now you might say, but my parents are different. They are difficult. They are controlling, emotional, sometimes even abusive. I cannot just pretend they are saints. That is true, and we will talk about that. This is not a romantic story about perfect parents and perfect children. It is about reality, with all its messiness. But before we go into the complicated cases, let us first understand why the parent-child bond carries such heavy karma and why it is such a powerful classroom for the soul. From the moment you were born, you were completely helpless. You could not feed yourself, keep yourself warm, or even turn yourself over in bed. Your first experiences of love, neglect, safety, or fear came through the hands of your parents or caregivers. They were your first gods, your first teachers, your first universe. If they were gentle, patient, and present, your nervous system learned that the world is basically safe. If they were harsh, unstable, or absent, your nervous system learned that the world is dangerous. These lessons sank into your bones before your thinking mind had any words to understand them. So when we talk about the way you treat your parents now, we are not talking only about outside behavior. We are talking about deep emotional imprints, old wounds, expectations, disappointments, and stories you carry about them and about yourself. For many people, becoming an adult does not automatically rewrite those early imprints. You might grow up, work, marry, and have children, but the hurt child inside you, the one who was scolded unfairly, ignored, or never quite accepted, is still alive. When you see your parents, that child often takes over. Maybe your father says one sentence and you feel as if your whole body is back in a childhood dining room, being criticized again. Maybe your mother makes one comment about how you are raising your own children, and an old rage explodes inside you. In those moments, you are not just reacting to what is happening now. You are reacting to decades of accumulated feelings. If you never look at these layers, if you never process them consciously, you will probably repeat them with your own children. Even if you promised yourself as a teenager, I will never be like my parents. That is the frightening part. The very things you hated as a child tend to slip unconsciously into your own parenting when you are tired, stressed, or scared. And your children, in turn, will unconsciously copy how you handle your parents. Let us look at a story that shows this clearly. There was a man named Daniel who grew up in a house where his father was very strict. The father worked long hours, came home exhausted, and had little patience for mistakes. If young Daniel broke a cup, he would be scolded harshly. If he brought home anything less than top grades, he would hear, "Is this the best you can do? Look at other people's children." As a child, Daniel would lie in bed at night and think, "When I grow up, I will never treat my kids like this. I will be a warm, fun dad, not like him." Time passed. Daniel grew up, married, and had a son. In the first years, he was very loving. He played with his boy, carried him on his shoulders, took him to the park. But life grew heavier. Work, pressure increased. Money was tight. His son entered school. One day, the boy came home with a lower grade on a test. He looked up nervously and whispered, "Dad, I did not do very well this time." Without thinking, the words flew out of Daniel's mouth. "Is this the best you can do? Look at your cousin's grades." The moment the sentence left his mouth, his heart dropped. He heard his father's voice inside his own voice. He saw his son's face sink in the same way his own face had sunk years ago. Later that night, after his son fell asleep, Daniel sat alone on the couch, feeling sick. He realized that even though he hated his father's way of speaking back then, that pattern had carved itself into his own nervous system. Under stress, he had repeated the same thing without meaning to. He remembered something else too. He thought about the way he now greeted his father. Whenever his father called and asked about his life, Daniel's answers were short and cold. When his father grew old and moved slower, Daniel felt irritated. He would say, "You are so stubborn. Why do you always do things your own way?" He avoided visiting too often, telling himself, "He never cared about my feelings anyway." At the same time, he noticed that his son had begun to copy his tone. When his grandfather visited and asked the boy a question, the boy sometimes answered with an eye roll or a careless shrug, just like he had seen his father do. It hit Daniel then. If he did not change something, the story would keep repeating. His father's harshness had created his coldness. His coldness would create his son's disrespect. One day, when he himself became old and slow, his son would likely treat him with the same emotional distance. The karmic chain would continue. That night, he made a decision. It was not a magic vow to be perfect. It was a simple commitment: I will end this pattern with me. I will not pass this wound to my son. The next day, he sat down with his boy and apologized for his harsh words. He said, "Yesterday, I spoke to you the way Grandpa used to speak to me. It hurt me back then, and I do not want to hurt you in the same way. I am sorry. You are more important to me than your grades. I will do my best to speak to you differently." He also called his father. The conversation was awkward at first. Years of tension do not melt in a minute, but he listened more and complained less. Instead of saying, "You never understood me," he said, "I know you worked very hard for us when we were children. I did not see that clearly before." He did not pretend that his father had not hurt him, but he chose to acknowledge the good as well. Over the following months and years, he kept working on this. Whenever he noticed his old harshness rising toward his son, he would pause, breathe, and choose a different response. Whenever his father called, he would try to be patient for a few minutes more than before. Slowly, something shifted. His father, feeling less attacked, softened too. His son, watching all of this, learned a new script. He saw his father apologize, reflect, and try again. He saw his father treat Grandpa with a little more respect. Without any formal lesson, that became his baseline of what is normal. This is what it looks like to transform intergenerational karma. It is not about pretending that everything was fine. It is about choosing not to let unhealed pain drive your behavior. Now, you might be thinking, "That is nice for Daniel, but my situation is much worse. My parents did not just scold me. They abused me physically or emotionally. They were addicted, violent, or deeply neglectful. Do I still have to be good to them so that my children will be good to me?" This is where things become delicate. Spiritual wisdom is not asking you to sacrifice your mental health just to maintain a picture of being a filial child. If your parents were really dangerous or continue to cause serious harm, it may be necessary to limit contact to protect yourself and your own children. In such cases, being respectful does not mean allowing abuse to continue. It means that even as you set firm boundaries, you try not to cultivate hatred in your heart. You might choose to say, "For now, I cannot be close to them because they do not respect basic boundaries, but I will also not spend my whole life cursing them. I will not teach my children that revenge is the only answer. I will tell them age-appropriate truths without turning them against their grandparents in a spirit of pure hatred." In other words, you can still end the chain of violence even if you must physically distance yourself. Your children will then learn another important lesson, that it is possible to protect yourself without becoming consumed by bitterness. They will see that you can face painful truths about your parents and still choose not to pass the poison on. Sometimes, healing looks like caring for aging parents personally, changing diapers for the people who once changed yours. Sometimes healing looks like paying their medical bills, even if you cannot bear long visits, because you recognize the debt of life, even if the emotional relationship is wounded. Sometimes healing looks like offering a sincere prayer for their well-being from far away, acknowledging that you cannot change them, but you can release your own heart from endless resentment. The core question always remains the same. What kind of example are you setting for your children about how to handle difficult relationships, especially with those who gave you life? If you only show them hatred, contempt, and coldness, they may absorb that as normal. If you show them blind obedience and self-destruction, they may copy that too. But if you show them a mixture of truth, courage, and compassion, they will have a different model. Now, let us also look at the other side. There are people who had deeply loving parents, who sacrificed greatly, but who still treat their parents with carelessness now. The excuse is often, "They know I love them. I do not have to show it all the time. I am busy." If that is you, let us gently turn the mirror. When you were small and woke up in the night crying, your parents did not say, "I am busy. I will hug you next week." When you got sick and needed medicine, they did not say, "You know I love you, so I do not need to actually come to the hospital." Their love was expressed in actions, not just in the claim that "you know how I feel." Now that they are old, walking more slowly, repeating stories, asking the same questions, they may need very simple things from you. All that is not rushed. A visit without constantly checking your phone. I ride to the doctor. A respectful answer when they worry about you. These acts are not only about them. They are about you, your children, and your future. There is a story of a little boy, maybe 7 years old, who watched a pattern in his house for months. Every time his grandfather, who lived with them, spilled food at the table because his hands shook, the boy's father would frown and raise his voice. "You are making a mess again. How many times have I told you to be careful?" Eventually, the father put the grandfather off to the side with a cheap plastic bowl, saying, "If you spill now, at least it is easier to clean." One evening, after watching this many times, the little boy was found in his room carving something out of wood. His father asked, "What are you making?" The boy looked up, innocent, unserious. "I am making a bowl for you, for when you are old like Grandpa, so that when you spill, we can put you in the corner too." Those words hit the father like thunder. In that moment, he saw his own future reflected in his behavior. He realized that his son had quietly accepted it as normal, that elders are pushed aside when they are inconvenient. Shaken, he changed. He apologized to his father, brought him back to the table, and began reading him with more patience. He knew his son would be watching again, recording the new pattern. Now, you might say, my child is very young. They do not understand so much. But children understand far more than we think. Even if they cannot explain it in words, they feel who is valued in the house and who is not. They feel how you speak to your parents and how your mood changes when your parents need something. We can say respect the elders 1,000 times, but if we roll our eyes at grandma the moment she leaves the room, our children will follow our eyes, not our words. So what can you do, starting from where you are now, to plant different seeds in this generational field? First, become aware of your own patterns. Before you change anything, you need to see what is currently happening. Pay attention the next time your parents call or visit. Notice your first inner reaction. Do you feel warm, tired, guilty, annoyed, or indifferent? Do you rush to end the conversation? Do you ignore their calls until later? Do you speak to them with a tone you would never use with your boss or friends? Also notice your children's eyes in those moments. Are they watching? What are you teaching them with your body language and voice? This awareness alone can be very confronting, but it is the doorway to change. Second, take small, consistent actions of respect. You do not need to start with grand gestures. Start with your tone. When your parents call, try greeting them with a genuine "Hi Mom" or "Hi Dad" instead of a flat "What is it?" When you see them walk into the room, put your phone down for a moment and look at their face. Let them feel that their existence is seen. If they repeat a story you have heard 100 times, instead of cutting them off with "You already told me this," you can simply smile and listen. You are not listening for the story. You are listening for the feeling behind it, the need to be connected, remembered, relevant. Your children will see all of this. They may not comment, but it will shape their model of how to treat you years from now, when you are the one repeating stories. Third, if necessary, apologize and reset. If you have been harsh or neglectful toward your parents for many years, it may feel awkward to suddenly be warmer. You might worry they will not believe you or will take advantage. Still, you can begin with a simple, honest conversation. You can say something like, "Lately I have been thinking about how I speak to you. I realize I have often been impatient or cold. I am sorry for that. You are getting older now, and I want to do better. I cannot promise perfection, but I will try to be more present and respectful." You are not erasing the past, but you are opening a new chapter. If your parents are emotionally mature, they may appreciate this deeply. If they are not, they may react in unexpected ways. They might complain, joke, or dismiss it. That is all right. You did not do this only for them. You did it also for your own heart and for the eyes of your children. Fourth, practice balanced boundaries. Respecting your parents does not mean obeying every request or allowing them to control your life. There will be times when you must say no, when you must choose differently. The key is how you do it. You can say, "No, I cannot do that," with a tone that says, "You are stupid and annoying." Or you can say the same "no" with a tone that says, "I respect you, but I also need to live my own life." Children notice this difference. They learn that it is possible to disagree without cruelty. If your parents are especially controlling or manipulative, you may need firm and clear limits. You might decide, for example, that you will visit once a week, but not every day, or that you will not allow them to insult your spouse in your home. You can explain your boundaries calmly. You can be consistent without being vicious. In doing so, you prove to yourself and your children that love does not equal blind obedience. It can include healthy self-respect. Fifth, cultivate inner gratitude. Even if it is small, some people can easily list all the ways their parents failed them, but struggle to remember any good. Others had parents who gave them almost everything, yet they rarely feel thankful and focus only on minor flaws. If your situation was truly abusive, gratitude may be a complicated word, and we must not use it as a weapon. But if your parents, despite their faults, fed you, clothed you, and tried in their own limited way to raise you, then recognizing their effort is part of your own maturity. It does not mean denying the harm. It means acknowledging that human beings are mixed. Someone can hurt you and still have done good for you. Holding both truths at once is a sign of growth. You can practice small moments of gratitude. When you see your parents' aging hands, you can remember how those hands once washed your clothes or held yours when you were small. When they call you with a trivial question, you can remember a time when you were the one asking endless questions as a child. These inner reflections soften the heart. They make respectful behavior more natural instead of forced. Now, let us look at your own future for a moment. Imagine yourself at 70 or 80. Your hair has thinned or turned white. Your steps are slower. Your memory is not as sharp as before. One day you pick up your phone and call your adult child. The phone rings. You wait. They answer. In that moment, what kind of voice would you like to hear? Would you like to hear an annoyed "What do you want?" or a warm "Hey mom," "Hey dad, what is up?" Would you like them to rush you, to act as if every sentence is a burden, or to listen, even if only for a few minutes, as if your existence still matters? The future is not here yet, but the seeds of that future are being planted right now in the soil of your daily interactions with your own parents. Karma is not a mystical punishment. It is the simple truth that actions tend to create similar results. When you practice kindness and respect toward your elders, especially when it is inconvenient, you are creating a model your children will likely follow. When you treat your parents as disposable or ridiculous, you are carving a pathway that may bring the same treatment back to you. Of course, life is complex. Nothing is guaranteed. There are people who were deeply respectful to their parents, yet whose children still turned cold. There are people who treated their parents terribly yet somehow have loving children. Karma is influenced by many factors, including the children's own past actions and choices. But from a spiritual perspective, you are responsible for your side of the equation. You cannot control everything, but you can control whether you yourself are adding kindness or cruelty into the generational stream. As we move toward the end of this long sharing, I want to invite you to reflect gently, not to attack yourself, but to see more clearly. Think of your parents or the people who raised you. What is one thing they did for you that you have never fully acknowledged? Maybe because you were too busy being angry at their mistakes? Think of your current behavior toward them. If a hidden camera recorded your interactions for a weekend then played them forward 20 or 30 years with you in your parents' place and your children in yours, would you feel comfortable watching that movie? If the answer is yes, then keep going. If the answer makes your heart sink a little, do not drown in guilt. Use that feeling as a wake-up call. You cannot change the past between you and your parents, but you can change the tone of the present. You cannot erase every harsh word you have spoken, but you can add new words, new gestures, new habits that slowly shift the overall balance. Remember to that as you treat your parents differently, you may also begin to heal the child inside you. When you choose to speak kindly to the very face that once caused you pain, You are not pretending that hurt never happened. You are proving to yourself that you are no longer controlled by it. You are choosing who you want to be, not just reacting to who they were. And your children, watching this, will learn something priceless. They will see that it is possible to grow beyond your patterns. They will see that respect, courage, and compassion can exist together. They will see a model of how to treat you when your turn comes to be weak and vulnerable. After this video, if you feel moved, you are welcome to share in the comments section a little about your own journey with your parents and children. Are there things you learned from watching how your parents treated their parents? Have you found ways to break painful patterns so that your children do not inherit them? Or are you just beginning to see the connection now and wondering what steps to take next? You do not need to write a perfect story. Even a few honest sentences may touch someone on the other side of the world who is facing the same struggle. In sharing, you may also find your own heart becoming clearer. If this long, slow reflection has given you some clarity, comfort, or courage, please consider supporting the channel. You can subscribe so you will not miss future deep dive conversations. You can click like to help this content reach more people who might need it. You can leave a thoughtful comment so that this space becomes a circle of shared wisdom rather than a one-way voice. If you feel especially connected to what we are doing here and wish to help sustain it, you can also consider joining as a member. Your support helps keep these extended, story-based explorations of karma, family, awakening, and real-life practice alive in a world that is often too busy for such slow conversations. Thank you for staying all the way until the end. The way you treat your parents is not just about them. It is about your children, your future self, and the shape of your destiny. May you find the strength to face your family's story honestly, the wisdom to set healthy boundaries where needed, and the compassion to end hurtful patterns so that those who come after you inherit more love and less pain. Every person carries a certain energy. Your focus, your dreams, your purpose. Bracelet is a physical reminder of that energy. Symbol you wear daily that pushes you to stay grounded, balanced, and aligned. If one of the bracelets caught your eye, you can order it through the link in the description and check more powerful styles on our homepage store. Choose the one that strengthens your journey.